Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. And it's sad times. If we can cue the violins and cue the sad music and just put it, interpret it at some point. Yeah, we've had some sad news. It's not like no one's died. Don't worry about it. But it's relatively sad in terms of a former player for us, a former Real Madrid player and a former French international who has won the lot in Raphael Varane, and he has retired officially from football after another kind of big injury with Como. Just couldn't get life started there. What I want to do on this show, I want to one reflect on his career, two reflect on his time on United, and three, just how much of a humble guy he was and how smooth he was and how he just never ever made any fuss. He was never ever a hindrance, of course, apart from the injuries, which are never a player's fault. But yeah, I think he deserves 10, 15 minutes to talk about in terms of his career. But basically, he put on social media this afternoon or this morning, of course, because it's only just turned to the afternoon. In my career, I've taken on many challenges, rose to the occasion after occasion. Almost all of it was supposed to be impossible. Incredible emotions, special moments, and memories that will last a lifetime. Reflecting on these moments, it is with immense pride and a feeling of fulfillment, Raphael, that I am announcing my retirement from the game that we all love. I hold myself to the highest standard. I want to go out strong, not just holding on to the game. It takes a big dose of courage to listen to your heart and your instinct. Desire and needs are two different things. I have fallen and risen 1,000 times, and this time it's the moment to stop and hang my boots up with my final game, winning a trophy at Wembley. Now, there is a further bit on that, but I wanted to end it specific on that bit because it's a United channel. And I think it's very fitting to, go out on top, like he said. I think there's a lot of people who have done that. You look at Khabib, for example, if you want to use, a different kind of sport. He went out on top, which fighters is extremely rare that they do, but he went out on top unbeaten. It looks like John Jones could potentially do that if he beats Stipe as well. I'm trying to think of other examples where people, I'm sure there's many, many examples where people have done it, but the majority of cases, they'll just play and play and play until they just cannot, until they're absolutely broken and physically. Like Phil Jones, for example. He couldn't even pass a ball. He was saying on the podcast the other day. So he's looked at it and he's thought, you know what? Will it get to a case basically where the more I play, I just start to tarnish my legacy a little bit? If my body's breaking down, I can't perform to the level that I want to, then it might get to that point. Now, United have obviously posted something instantly after this, and he said, to Raphael Varane, you represented our colours with great distinction during your 3 seasons at Old Trafford. We thank you for your humility, leadership and commitment. May these qualities serve you well in your next venture. Once a Red, always a Red. And that's from Manchester United. Look, no doubt with Raphael Varane, one of the greatest centre-backs and most decorated centre-backs, by the way, to ever grace the game. We're talking here about a World Cup winner, 4 Champions Leagues, Spanish Cups, Club World Cups, league titles, Carabao Cups, FA Cups for United, an unreal record. 95 appearances for United, 31 clean sheets. He's, like I said, won multiple trophies. The red flag was obviously always the injuries. That was the issue with Varane. 350 days he missed with United, almost a full season of games. And it's a shame that we didn't sign him when we had the chance to. When I think it was Fergie who was looking at him when he was at Lens, and he ended up going to Real Madrid and had an unbelievable career there. But just for the time whilst he was here, I think his partnership with Sandro Martinez was incredible when they was able to play together, because it has to be said. I mean, they only played 33 matches in total as a pairing. Had they gone season in, season out together, I think they would have been, and people might say I'm only saying this because I'm a United fan, but I think they would have been one of the better partnerships in the league, right up there anyway. But you could just never get that consistency out of him. And I think the defence in general, you can never get the consistency out of. Will he look back at United and regret his time? I don't think so. Not necessarily. You won 2 trophies, haven't you? You won an FA Cup and a League Cup. And look, I know it's been turbulent. There's been, you've had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer come in, you've had Ragnick, and then you've had Erik ten Hag, where it's been a bit bouncy at times. But the one thing I'll say about Varane is, every time he's come into the team, he's just done his job. He's kept his mouth shut. He's never moaned about anything. He's just been a Rolls Royce. And he's I know he's not quiet on the pitch, but you never notice him because he's always doing what he should be doing. Does that make sense? That's how I feel about Raphael Varane. Top centre-back. You don't win what you win at Real Madrid without him, without Ramos, without Casemiro, without all these guys. Like, they are important players. And Varane, in his prime, is right up there. Where would you rank him in terms of, you know, I don't think he's Maldini level. Personally, maybe just one below that, potentially. I mean, his records, he's a World Cup winner. You know, 4 Champions League. The trophies, he's up there with anyone in conversation-wise. But I'm talking about, you know, longevity, ability. Where is he? Where is he? It's certainly a good thing to debate, in it. Is he... I tried putting it in the poll, to be fair, and it wouldn't allow. Apparently it's done it now. Is he a top 5? Is he a top 10? Top 25? Top 50? It's a good, interesting point to discuss with him. But I just think, yeah, I think unbelievable servant. Always got on with it, despite whatever was going on at the club. And I think he's made the right decision. He's made the right decision. I think people were kind of surprised a little bit that he went to Como in the first place, and it's kind of like Varane to Como, you know, a team that's had they just been promoted to Serie A, and maybe it was kind of a bit of a retirement plan, and it's not even worked out like that, because he literally within the first 20 minutes, I think he got injured. And in fairness, you've seen this with some of the players that have left our club that have had similar issues. Martial's gone to, is it who's it, Olympiacos or POAK or something? Or Athens. It might be Athens. AO8. I can't remember the team. But Martial's gone there, and it's kind of like you're seeing these players who had, you know, some of the most talented players, at least in the past 5-6 years at United. You know, where's Pogba now? All French as well, funnily enough. Martial, Pogba, Varane, all gone off in their own different kind of routes, haven't they? But I've never ever had a bad word to say about Raphael Varane, honestly. I think he's been great. I just wish, you know, you look at the signing of Lenny Yoro now, and I think this is the perfect kind of place to kind of round it all off with Varane. He seems like a similar profile where it's like, we're signing him now. Do you know what I mean? Rather than Lenny Yoro going off to Real Madrid or going to any other club, we're signing him now and getting him, you know, at an early stage, so then we can develop into that player, and hopefully he wins trophies with us, and hopefully he grows as a player with us. And then, you know, if he goes off somewhere when he's 28, 29 for £300,000 a week, you can't really blame him, because he would have been at United for 10 years. That's how we should be doing it, not the other way around like we've done with Varane and Casemiro, where we've basically waited until the 28, 29, 30, and we've gone, we'll give you a big contract, £300,000 a week. You know, oh, don't worry about your knees. I know your knees, you know, there's some issues there. Don't worry about that. You know, it's just logic in it. I think you sign a player now. A lot of clubs are going down that route where they are signing the next kind of talent to come along, because there's more longevity in it. You look at Real Madrid, their whole model. Obviously, they've gone and bought Mbappe, and they've spent a lot of money. But yeah, Hendricks, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, Camavinga, Tchouameni, like all these guys that are like 25 and below, but absolute superstars. Did the same with Valverde, Eder Militao. You know, obviously they've got experienced players still in there, like Modric, Rudiger's, you know, experienced. They've got players in there, but yeah, I just think Lenny Yoro is a piece of that. I think he could be the next Varane, potentially, and we've got him for a long, long time. So if he can even live up to half the career Varane's had, he'll be some sort of a player. That's how well he's done in football. He's smashed it. He's completed the game. You know, it's a thing that gets thrown about. I've completed it, mate. But Varane quite literally has. There is not a trophy that he hasn't won, really. You could throw little ones in there. Like, I don't know if he's won a Copa del Rey, for example. But all the important trophies he's won, and some of them multiple times, league titles multiple times, 4 Champions Leagues, a World Cup. You know, he's got everything. Absolutely everything. Good afternoon to Random Guy and Steph in the chat. Anyone else who's joining us, please do smash a like on the video. A little bit quiet this afternoon. I'm worried about people. How are we all, first and foremost? Let's get into that before we talk about any football. De Ligt's a great upgrade and replacement for Varane. I wouldn't say an upgrade. He's not an upgrade on Varane. But he's a decent replacement, I would say. I'd say Yoro's more of the like-for-like replacement than De Ligt is, just personally. Varane is top 5 for sure, but his body was starting to break down, and at times it was painful to watch. I'm sure it was painful as well for him. Varane instrumental in ending our trophy drought with Leacher. Yeah, let's discuss it. Where does he rank? Because I'm thinking like the best centre-backs to ever play football, in my head, if I'm going to go top 3, I'm going to go Maldini. Just thinking like, I'm trying to gather data from Or Sergio Ramos is up there for sure. Baresi was way before my time, so I never even watched him really. Trying to think. Puyol was fantastic, but I think John Terry is up there. You've got Maldini, Sergio Ramos, Rio and Vidic have got to be in there somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's conversation, isn't it? It's conversation. Let's go through a list. Let's see what other people have. I'm probably forgetting some people, to be fair. Cornerbacks. I don't want cornerbacks. I want fucking centre backs. What are you talking about? Nestor, Yapstam, Van Dijk's probably in there. Cannavaro obviously won a Ballon d'Or. Rio Ferdinand, Desai, Chiellini's got to be up there as well, and Bonucci as a pairing. Yeah, Yapstam's definitely up there, but it was like, it's such a shame because at United it was 3 years, wasn't it, basically? I think he won something in every year, though, when he was here. Like a league title, Champions League, something along the lines of that. But yeah, Ineos definitely saw this coming. You had to, and the same thing, Random, with Martial as well, right? Like, they saw the writing was on the wall. Like, we cannot give this guy an extension. He's struggled to get fit for months. And when he does get fit, straight back on the table. So there's no way you could have given him an extension. You just couldn't have done it. And looking at it now, obviously it's the right decision. Sometimes people get a little bit sentimental, and they're like, oh, maybe we should have given him a 5-year contract, 6-year contract. You know, he's a servant. He's been here. Let's just keep hold of him. See how. No, you need to be ruthless in football. And we've made the right decision there. But obviously, wish Varane all the best, whatever he chooses to go into, whether it's coaching. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. But yeah, wish him all the best. I never ever had a bad word to say about Raphael Varane. Right, anyway, let's move on to, obviously, the game is tonight. I wasn't initially going to be live, but I am going to be live now because I'm not in work. So I will be covering the pre-match with Sam, I think, who's going to be alongside me, talking about the Europa League, FC20, and then we'll have the match review as well, of course, after it. So very excited about that match day. And there's a couple of quotes from Erik ten Hag. So everyone was disappointed with the result in Crystal Palace, but yeah, the clean sheet was a good thing, and also the creating of chances was also a good thing, and now we have to become more, I will say, killing in the box. We have to keep this process going, that everyone puts in 100% effort and be disciplined in following the rules from defending, because that's a base to win football games. We have to win today because it's the first match in this league, and we have 8 games to go. So you have your first home game, and you have to win this game. Just a quick stat for you is, Man United have lost just once in their last 24 Europa League games at Old Trafford. So it's a pretty good stat there, heading into the first one against FC20. Look, I said, you know, on the preview, I said I'm looking forward to this Europa League campaign. I'm not sure if it's because it's a new format, or if because I've been deprived of European football for so long. I'm just excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think the depth of our squad now really helps, especially with this new, because you've got, what do you do? You play 8 teams, is it? Or 7 teams, home and away. And then I think off the top of my head, is like the top 9 go straight through. Then there's like a middle bit, and then there's like a bit where you have to go into playoffs or something. I think we can go straight through with the games that we've got. We've got a couple of challenging ones in there. Granted, you've got Porto away, which is going to be tricky. You've got the tie against Jose Mourinho as well, which is away, I think. That's always going to be tricky as well. A couple of players there in Fred. As Amrabat's gone there as well. So you've got narratives as well in each game, but we should be advancing in this, and I'm pretty comfortable we'll go quite far in this tournament. And who knows, we won the Carabao Cup in our first season, won the FA Cup in our second season. I'm just saying. Yeah, looking forward to it. Excited. Who's going to line up? I have no idea. We did our predictions. I think I said Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Licha, and Dalot. But I think one of the centre-backs may be rested. Maybe Maguire may come in. I think Ugarte probably starts. Casemiro maybe as well. Bruno. And then I went with, I can't remember, Ahmad, Xerxes, or Ahmad, Højlund, and Rashford, I think I went with. Maybe. Yeah. But what do we think? Are we excited for the game tonight, guys, or is it just me who's on this vibe, who's buzzing about it? I'm not sure. Ten Hag also spoken about, kind of expanded on Mazraoui because he got asked about him, and he said he's even now a better player than I had in Ajax. His development as a player and as a person is tremendous and impressive, so I hope that this process keeps going. Now, I don't want to over-egg this pudding because I've spoken about Mazraoui as much as probably his wife has. So, look, you're an injury away from him just not being able to play, or a bad performance from the narrative completely flipping on its head. But I know I've praised him a lot, but he has been really good since he's come in. And the fact that Ten Hag's saying there he's an even better player, his development as a player and a person is tremendous. That makes me excited. And even Mazraoui said himself, I've still got another level to go up here. I'm not even 100%. And he's playing like he is at the minute. He's come right into that team and become a starter instantly. And no signs of an injury yet. Cross everything, touch wood, he'll be fine. But I'm also buzzing with Mazraoui. I think he's been unreal. Punch Paint saying, nice to have a manager who cares about cups. Conte, great league records, shit cup records. Andy Williams, I would rather be good in the league rather than 10 games personally. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think long term, if we speak about that, obviously you want the league to improve. But it's nice to have the first 2 seasons where you've won a Carabao and FA Cup. You ask any fan of any team in the league, ask Arsenal fans, if they would have took an FA Cup last season, they would have said yeah. Ask Tottenham fans. They've only won a fucking Audi Cup for the past 30 years, 40 years, whatever it's been. They would have snapped your hand off for it. Ask Newcastle fans. They haven't won a cup since 1958 or something ridiculous. They would have snapped your hands off in the Carabao Cup. So, look, his perspectives, his opinions on it, I understand both sides of it. I'm not negating one or the other. I just think I understand why people are happy with it, especially when you beat City in the final. It's mega, innit? And the euphoric feeling you have after it. But ultimately, when you look towards the future, you want to be a team that grows in the league, that starts competing near the top. You don't want season in, season out where you're like, okay, if you're winning a trophy every year, what happens then? What if you're finishing 5th or 6th? You've got a style of play, but then you're winning an FA Cup every single year, or a Carabao Cup, or a Europa League. It's difficult, isn't it? Because, you get a trophy every year would be amazing. And, Ten Hag's cabinet starts stacking up. If he wins another one this season, 3 trophies in 3 years, I don't think any manager's done that. In his first 3 years, no manager's done that consistently. So, that's another one that you debate. I'd like to see Maguire and De Ligt together like Bash Bros. Definitely going to see a few goals tonight. That's from Random. All eyes on Rashford. He needs to get his groove back. And it was, I don't know if anyone saw this. It was a quote on Marcus Rashford from Paul Scholes in the new fan debate that they've just put up. He said they've scored 5 goals and 3 of them were against Southampton. That probably tells you the forwards just aren't good enough. Leaving Marcus Rashford out on Saturday was a strange one. He's not scored for such a long time, and suddenly he comes and scores 3 goals in 2 games, and he's not playing. Erik ten Hag said it was rotation. Come on, do me a favour. That's 2 people who said it now. Jamie Redknapp said it, although I think if I'm going to trust one or the other opinions, it'd be Paul Scholes, because he probably knows people at United and has spoken to people. I'm not entirely sure if it's true or not, but I know there was a lot of people surprised, wasn't there, when the team lineup got announced and Rashford wasn't in it. You're like, hold on a minute. So you're telling me we've gone from a full season where Marcus Rashford has been starting week in, week out, and he's been playing absolutely awful, and you've had loads of United fans crying for him to be dropped, and he never did. Now, all of a sudden, when the ketchup bottle starts flowing, and he starts scoring goals, and he's gaining this momentum and confidence again, all of a sudden, you drop him. It was a bizarre situation, wasn't it? A lot of people were like, that's weird. And when he said it was rotation, you're like, okay, I don't mind that, because typically, Erik ten Hag has been extremely stubborn with rotating players. Extremely stubborn. So the fact is that you're like, right, that's fine. I get it. But to have Paul Scholes come out and say it as well, saying, Ten Hag said it was rotation, come on, do me a favour. I don't know who to believe now. I'm like, when a few people start saying it, you're like, I don't know. I'm just happy. I think you've seen reports that he's definitely going to start tonight. I can 100% see that, because Garnacho played the last game. I could 100% see him scoring tonight, by the way, as well. I think he will score and potentially get an assist. So it can only be good if you're dropping players and you're keeping that competitive edge, which I've been craving for such a long time. Because even go back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he would consistently play Maguire and McFred, and you'd be like, oh my God, please drop him and play someone else because they've been playing awful. And when you don't drop him, you then send a message to the team saying these guys can play as bad as you want and they're always going to play. There's a fine line between trusting a player and waiting for him to give you a performance or letting it go stagnant and just kind of wishing on a star in that sense. So that's why it's a bit blurred in my head that you've gone with a Rashford from last season who just couldn't do anything at all, looked frustrated, bad environment, and consistently playing him. So, he's finally happy scoring goals, then you drop him. So I think United fans have every right to question that, and whether more stuff will come out about this, I'm not entirely sure. Whether they want to keep it internal, I don't know. But Ten Hag has always been quite open with those situations. I mean, look at the whole Jadon Sancho debacle. You know what I mean? So I tend to trust Erik Ten Hag on that. I could be absolutely wrong and way off, but I believe him. I believe it was literally just a decision of, Garnacho deserves minutes. He's been scoring goals as well. He's been getting assists. He's got an average XG or expected XG of I think it was a goal. No, he's got a goal or an assist every 36 minutes. I think the stat was. So, yeah, you can't say he didn't deserve a start. I was absolutely fine. Random guy saying Scholes might be biased towards English players, Rashid and Harry, definitely. Ten Hag was playing Rashford when he was shit, and when Rashford scored, he rotates. I ain't buying it. I know that's why I'm a little bit confused about it. That's why I'm like, I don't know. It's just weird, isn't it? Very weird. Trophies mean fuck all if to me if you're finishing 8th. I get that. That's why I'm saying you want to see continual. You want a mix of both, don't you? You want to see continual progression in the league going forward. Aiming towards the top, kind of like what Arsenal are doing. But Arsenal still haven't won anything. There's the thing to throw back at you. If Arteta left Arsenal now or he got sacked, how would his time be looked at? Because if Ten Hag got sacked now, you'd be like, look, the tactics were questionable at times. Some of the results that we had were a bit mad. But ultimately, he won 2 trophies. There's evidence there that he's won something. If Arteta leaves now, what's he won in the last 4 or 5 years? I mean, didn't he win an FA Cup in one of his first seasons or something? Like the first 1 or 2 years? And then apart from that, he's won nothing. So people will then look at his time and say it was a failure because he didn't win anything. Oh, you compete for a title. You don't get a trophy for competing for a title. You don't. You know what I'm saying? So... yeah, I don't know. It's perspective. Everyone has a different take on it. That's just my personal take. I'm happy that we've won trophies, but I obviously want to see progression. And I think Dave Brailsford always mentions small margins. I think we are seeing small margins in the game. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to improve on. There's still a lot of question marks in terms of... I mean, I think the main things for me are, one, where the goal is going to come from. Ten Hag said it there in the thing, you need a killer in the box. Look at City with Erling Haaland, who's smashing in goals. You go to any other team, they've got, even Newcastle have got Isaac, who, I know he might have only scored a couple of goals, but you got Aston Villa have got Ollie Watkins. They've got a go-to guy who's going to score goals. We have potential in the front line, or we have maybe he'll score 30 goals like a Rashford. We don't have a guaranteed nailed-on striker like a Ruud van Nistelrooy, excuse me, who's going to score week in, week out every single game. We don't have that. That's the issue. I think against Crystal Palace, first 45 minutes, we absolutely dominated him. And if you've got a clinical striker who's on form at the top of his game, you win that game, don't you? So my concern predominantly is in the final third. We're creating all these chances, but we're just not finishing them. Bruno's missing big chances. Garnacho's missing big chances. Rashford missed a couple. You can go through the full front line basically, and they've missed huge chances. Maybe Rasmus coming back in. He can start to do that, but I know he got 16 goals in all competitions last season. I think he got 10 in the league. That's not going to push you right up there, 10 in the league. We can't just keep living off potential. I think we need a senior head there who's got to bag goals. And the youngsters and the ones with potential, they can push for that place. But I do think we need that figurehead, the 9. Maybe Ruud can roll back the years, who knows. I'll take Ten Hag over Arteta any day of the week. Scholes needs to calm down and have a chamomile tea. We don't necessarily need a dominant striker. We can have goal-scoring wings like Liverpool do. But the thing is with that, do you have enough trust in Marcus Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad, Antony to score the amount of goals that we need? Because if you're trusting your wingers, if you're going to bring in Xerxes, who's the type of striker to facilitate for the other players around him, do you trust them other players to get double figures each? Do you think Marcus Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad are all going to get double figures this season? Because I don't see it. I really don't see it. It's a heavy reliance on them. So, maybe it will happen. I think Bruno as well has dropped off in terms of the goals and assists that he usually provides. I mean, I don't know what his record is. I mean, his performance in general, I don't think has been amazing, Bruno Fernandes. But let's have a look at his stats this season. 5 matches, 0 goals, 1 assist in the Premier League. Just one assist in the Prem. That's it. You know, even for Bruno, sometimes you expect a little bit more. You expect, you know, the first season when he came in, he had like 18 goals and 12 assists. Crazy. If he was putting up those numbers and you had Rashford doing what he did in Ten Hag's first season and you combine them all together, that's fantastic. We're just way too inconsistent. Need another striker just as much as we need another left back. To be honest, I do see him scoring 8 to 12 goals each. Is that enough though? I mean, Bukayo Saka last season got 20 goals and 12 assists, I think, in all comps or something. And that's just a right winger. 16 goals and 9 assists Saka got last season. What did Salah get? 18 goals and 10 assists. You see what I'm saying? They're the numbers that you want. Even Foden, obviously I know he got Premier League Player of the Season, but someone who, you know, I know he floats into the 10, but Man City, 1 match in 2023. Oh, Premier League, there we go. 19 goals, 8 assists. So they're all getting 18 to 20, plus, you know, nearly 10 assists on top of that. I don't think our wingers are going to get anywhere near that. Anywhere near that. And they're the type of goals you need to be putting up if you don't have a prolific striker. We don't play to a striker, hence why we play false 9 end of last season and Xerxes now. I know that there's a system tweak in there, but then I'm saying Rasmus is going to come back into that. You need to start providing for him. And that's something that we struggled with. There was a start last year, which I'm sure all you guys remember as well, where he didn't get passed to. He got passed to like 5 times in 5 games or something. Ridiculous. We don't put nowhere near enough crosses in. We don't supply him enough. I'm interested to see how that dynamic could potentially work with Xerxes coming into the fold. Maybe them two can work together. I just want to pull something up just for the end of the show that Steve McClaren said, which I thought was interesting. It's out of an article, which I can't read because it's behind a paywall. But he's done an interview. Obviously, he's left Manchester United. He's managing Jamaica, right? Is that correct? I'm sure there's a lot of memes about him trying to speak Jamaican. But yeah, he said in this interview, there was a clip from it that said Casemiro couldn't believe the detail and the tactical knowledge that Ten Hag had. Casemiro thought he had seen it all at Real Madrid until he worked with Eric, which I thought was bizarre because I'm sure I remember like reports and leaks coming out last season that Varane and Casemiro was asking Ten Hag to play a little bit more pragmatic and was questioning his tactics. But then for McClaren, literally from the horse's mouth, whatever you want to call it, is saying he couldn't believe the detail and tactical knowledge of Ten Hag. It kind of goes against that, doesn't it? I just thought it was a bit of a strange one that for him to say that. And I think it is true that he's, you know, listen to the way people speak about Ten Hag, even his earlier days, like the decisions he could make in game would just change it like that. And we saw it in the first season. Now he's in game management. Sometimes the subs, you look at Crystal Palace when he's taking off Xerxes and putting on Rasmus and Rashford and trying to go long and more direct. I was like, and he said he did it because there was less space for Xerxes to work with. I don't know. I think a lot of his subs have been very questionable, especially in the last kind of 6 months. And typically it's good at that kind of stuff. So look, sometimes as a coach you gamble, it doesn't pay off. But I think there are some people out there who questioning, you know, some of his decisions. Very, very bizarre. I meant 8 to 12 goals each in the Prem alone. Well, if they do that, they do that. Xerxes and Højlund would also score similar figures too. I really don't think this team steps up the level until Rashford and Bruno move on. Maybe you're right, Andy. Maybe you're right. Maybe there is something in that. I've seen a lot of people talking about that. When they're the figureheads of your team and they're the players with the most spotlight on them and they don't deliver like they haven't been doing, then yeah, I mean, you can't say you're wrong. You have to agree with it, innit? But I don't know. You have that tied to him, don't you? Like with Marcus and Bruno, because they've done so much in certain, like Bruno since he's come in, as for the club, he's dedicated himself, like really dedicated himself. He's had some fantastic seasons, done some amazing things. Obviously, won trophies as well. but there are still question marks over him. There's still question marks over Marcus, but we'll just have to see how the season kicks on and then assess it in the summer, because they're here to stay now, at least until, well, Bruno's definitely here to stay because he's just signed a new contract, but Marcus, maybe there's a conversation in the summer, I'm not sure. But we will be live tonight, guys, for the game, so please do make sure you come and join us for the pre-match review. Very excited for it, looking forward to the game. And our Europa League campaign that kicks off. I hope we get a win. Let's see what happens. Take it easy, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you